How we doing? My name's Austin Findley. I'm here with the Simple Salesman, otherwise known as Richard himself. What we really want to talk to you about tonight is something that's, the basis of your business, right? Customer service. And when you think about customer service, you think about all sorts of different things. There's different aspects. It's a broad spectrum of what is customer service. What does good customer service look like? What does bad customer service look like? What does automated customer service look like? And really, when you're trying to get your company to customer service to a whole nother level, sometimes you get lost, right? So, Richard, I want you to kind of give us a little intro and what we're going to be talking about tonight when it comes to customer service. As we mentioned, it's a huge subject of ours.
I swear you guys keep me in the dark on these conversations and hit me with these topics, especially the ones that just really crawl under my skin. This just kills me, man. So
If you knew what it was, then I kind of like to keep you on your toes.
fair enough. This one kills me. I can't tell you how many companies I've been through and consulted with. We talk about customer service, and everyone says, "I want to make my customer service, world class." And I'm going to be the bearer of bad news here. Customer service is a culture. They say shit runs downhill. Well, culture runs downhill. Culture starts at the top of the people, and it's reflected by the people that touch your consumers. There's two kinds of customer service, right? You call it automated customer service, right? That's Amazon, that's Google. Everyone has an expectation when they go to these websites of how it's going to be and how it's going to work. And that is customer service. How smooth your product runs, every time you touch that customer, that is customer service. However, the reality is customer service in any company, every time your company touches a customer, that is customer service. From the marketing to the sales to the delivery of the product to the implementation of product and then consistent delivery. And everyone's business is different. But customer service is you have to look at where every point touches the customer. And the worst part of that, go ahead.
Not to interrupt you, let's stop right there because I think that's a very, very important point you just made. And I think we need to say it again, right? So customer service is everything you touch in your business, right?
Well, it's every time your business touches a customer, right? How you handle things on the back end has nothing to do with customer service. It may have how well you can deliver or how quickly you can deliver customer service, but at the same time, if the right expectation is set for a customer, if you have a process on the back end that slows your business down, that doesn't actually have to be detrimental to your customer service. The customer service is when your company touches or interfaces with a customer. That's what customer service is.
Sure, and I just think the reason I brought that up is because I think a lot of people think customer service is, they're in front of us, right? We're front facing them, or things like that. They don't know how the depths of what customer service can be. So I just wanted you to reiterate that point as we continue on, because I think it's very important that people get lost. That gets lost,
Well, I think that's the other thing. I think a lot of people think that customer service, they call it the customer service department, right? That's that department when shit goes wrong and you've got to call in and complain and we can, teach people how to effectively work a customer service department to take any bad customer experience and turn it into a good or a positive one. I mean, that's definitely a thing. And that's what most companies think when they think customer service. However, preventing those negative situations to begin with decreases how much customer service you have to do on the back end, how much your customer service department has to be staffed, and how big that department has to be in handling upset customers. So, it's one of those things where we can start on any spectrum, right? When we first touch the customer, to the delivery, to the sale after the fact. However, when I talk about customer service, I like to break it down into really three parts, right? Your pre-touch, your prospecting, sometimes that's marketing, sometimes it's cold calling. If you are on the phone and you call a customer, like a roofer called my folks the other day, and I'm not going to use their name, but my folks definitely remembered them. They said, "Hey, we have you on the schedule for a roofing inspection tomorrow. Would we like to be there between 9 and noon or noon and 4?" And they're like, "Well, we have a brand new roof, so we don't need anything." I'm like, "Great, we'll be there at 9 o'clock." It was one of those things where the guy on the phone was being a dick, right? He said he had the new roof, and he was frustrated because he probably went through 50 or 60 cold calls trying to set up these leads, and he was just being an ass. And my folks now have told, I'm not going to tell everyone what the name of the company was, but they've now told me, they've now told my brother, they've now told the aunt, they've told all these people, if you hear from these people, screw them. And it's one of those things where that prospecting, that lead generation, a lot of times we're abrasive and brash, or we try to find the right ideal customer, so we're not concerned about everyone else. But that's customer service, that's reputation. So that's kind of step one. Step two is the sales process, right? The sales process is the process up until someone gives you their money. And what's funny is that's really where a lot of companies that are retail oriented or have a lot of marketing where there's a lot of inbound sales, they focus a lot on that because they want that customer service to be good, so therefore they get the money. The problem is then there's the part before delivery of the product. When I say delivery of the product, so software has delivery, cars have delivery, appliances have delivery, electronics have delivery. Buy shoes, that has delivery, right? I buy the product, I pick up the box, I walk to the front of the store, and I talk to a cashier. The cashier then is giving me the delivery of the product, and there's that section between there. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter, right? So, for example, some of our customers and clients, when we say, yes, we're going to come in and consult with you, there can be 3 to 6 weeks before we actually show up on site, right? And so if we did nothing during that time frame, then someone may have buyer's remorse and they may say, no, we're going to do it. But during that time frame, we're sending our clients things to do and bits and pieces of stuff to handle to get ready for when we come in so they're prepared. So it decreases the amount of time that we have to spend there, right? Because the longer we spend in a customer's building, the more it costs them, because while we do flat rate, we also have a per hourly charge if we need to go through and dig through all this information. So there's that section of it as well. And then there's also the delivery of the product. Sometimes the delivery, as I said, is just walking out from a cash register. Sometimes it's software delivery, right? Where you've got implementation and then you've got actually testing and then you got to fix it. That entire delivery process has customer service in it as well. And then you've got like resort stays, like Disney World, right? So we go through planning and planning. Well, I mean, that's my family's big vacation because of my daughter's allergies, because we go there a lot. But we'll be there for 14 days. So they have 14 days of delivering a consistent product to us to keep us happy. And so that's that. And then there's after the service, the follow-up, right? How did the company stay in touch with me to see if I had it, if I enjoyed my product, if it's still working for me well? Service after the sale. Is it preemptive or do I have to call them? And then finally you run into that section right there kind of ends with service after the sale. Then you got service after the sale. Then you have, oh shit, something's gone wrong, customer service department. People focus mostly on that sales and customer service department. And so there's a lot of people involved in that process. And it just baffles me that when someone says, I want to make my customer service better, you're talking about an entire rehaul of a company most of the time,
Yeah, I mean that's so true. A lot of people would argue differently, right? They would wonder why. So if they have their, customer service department, that oh shit moment department, right? And then they have to make sure their sales or their front end people give some good customer service. They would argue that, well, I have my customer service is good. I do have a culture when it comes to customer service, right? And I know you would argue differently, and that's kind of when your consulting comes in. You kind of help retool the business, right?
Yes and no. I mean, this is one of those things you say when you break customer service down. If you say I want to make my customer service department better, or I want to make my sales customer service better, the problem is you're not looking at your sales process, right? You go when you're talking about customer service, you go for low hanging fruit. You look for the breakdown in the processes. So figuring out customer service and how you're going to tackle customer service. Number one, you just do a culture change. That's always my go-to. Do a culture change. But the problem is culture comes from your most senior leaders. So unless that culture is coming from the senior leadership and they're changing how they talk to people and how they deal with people, customer service 90% of the time is a reflection of how their people are treated. You see this in business after business after business. And I'm not saying that they have to be treated like nicely or kindly. There are businesses out there where, it's very, cut and dry. However, that expectation was set way before someone was hired. And so it's not a shock. So therefore, that expectation is followed through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's just I feel that a lot of people struggle with customer service as a culture, right? I mean, people would sit and just argue that left and right, I would think, just because they think their processes and everything they have in place is there, and if they got a smile on their face. But I really, like you said, it goes, and I'm just saying it how it is, right? Like a lot of people would argue or fight you on that, because if you have your customer service department and then you have your front facing customer service, smile, hey, this is great, dandy people, right? If the experience doesn't stay the same and the culture isn't built through all of the process of your sales process, no matter who they touch, right, they would think they have good customer service.
I
But
mean, that you're talking about the number one thing that most companies struggle with when they have a customer service problem and they're losing business and their business isn't growing organically. They have a culture problem, not a customer service problem. And I can give you 100% guarantee every company that I've ever gone into consulting where they have a customer service problem, they have a culture problem. Their people don't feel valued. And that right there is a tough thing. When you have a customer service problem and you have a good culture, then you have a process problem. That's really what customer service. If you want to work on customer service, you work on your culture first. Okay, so shitty news.
Here's the thing. What's going to happen is these people that are struggling with customer service are going to tell you the culture is great. But in fact, I bet if you went in and interviewed people in their businesses in each department, it would tell you a different story, right? But the senior leaders believe, of course, right? They're going to 100% back what they're doing, right? They're going to think their way is the right way and there's nothing else that's wrong. Just playing devil's advocate here, right? And you've probably seen it 100 times.
Well, so you're right. So, and business owners and leaders, if you're watching right now, here's the deal. Let's cut it short. If your business is trending down and you have a customer service problem, go look in the fucking mirror. And I don't mean to curse often, but I want to make the point. You are the reflection of your customer service as a senior leader, as a senior manager in the company. And when you treat people poorly, or when senior leadership treats people poorly, it's going to show in your customer service. That's just fact. However, if you don't think that is a problem, hire an outside consultant to come and interview your people. And when they come back and say, yeah, everyone's afraid to talk to you or talk to senior leadership, you have a culture problem, right? And those people don't feel empowered. However, I'm going to play devil's advocate for myself here. If you think that you don't have a culture problem, what you probably have is a process problem or a communication problem, right? Customer service comes from a fact of people not feeling empowered to actually take care of the customers, and there's no clear-cut expectation. And this is always the thing that I get. Whenever I make this statement, every company always says, well, it's not that easy. No, it is. You just have to empower your people to make that decision, and then when they make the wrong decision, because they will, you have to coach them. You have to get them through that. And that's just how that works. This is not –
go ahead.
I
think a lot of companies, and sorry to interrupt, but I think a lot of companies, you're right, empowering people to take care of the customer base, right? I think a lot of companies are afraid of that due to the dollar or the risk, right? The risk amount that it could cause. And like you said, they're going to make mistakes, right? But I think some of the best companies, or some things you see out there, empower their people. It doesn't have to be a big margin you give them to empower to take care of somebody, right?
Yes.
But those companies that do allow that empowerment, right, you've got to have an accountability structure behind it, of course, right? You always have to. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those companies that do allow just let's say their customer service department, just make it small, right? Empower those people that are cleaning up the oh crap moments, giving them some sort of leverage or tool to assist and take care of the customer, which makes them feel valued. I bet the business, and if you look at their numbers, results are completely different. Would you say they go hand in hand?
Oh, absolutely. So here's the thing. Even in a company that has a culture problem, you can have customer service problems that aren't related to culture. It can come from training, So one of the biggest things that I teach when I do customer service training is never to make the customer wrong. I am not. There's that phrase and statement out there: the customer is always right. That's bullshit. The customer is not always right. However, perception is reality. So let's be right here. The customer thinks they're always right, and that's what you're dealing with. So when you're teaching customer service, making sure that the language that you use validates your customer's ability to feel what they want to feel, right? It's one of those things where, I took a manager once, who's one of my favorite managers that I've ever had and the pleasure of dealing with, was probably the worst person I've ever had dealing at customer service. Because when the consumer was wrong, he would basically say, well, ma'am or sir, I understand you feel that way, but that's not how the process was, and that's not the expectation we set. Okay, that doesn't matter. I'm sure you've seen how it is when your associates go, no, man, you're wrong here. How well does that go over?
Oh, yeah. Normally, I'm involved, and then it's pretty ugly, right? So, I mean, yeah, we've all seen it.
So the point is, though, is that giving someone the validation to feel the way they feel. You can. It's kind of like kids, right? If a kid is losing their proverbial shit, you can't be like, no, you can't feel that way. Try going to your wife sometime and saying, honey, you can't feel that way. You don't have the right to. Go see how that turns out. How would that turn out if you told your fiance that?
Yeah, I'd probably be sleeping on the couch, or my stuff would be out front.
The same thing goes for when you're talking about customer service, right? Sir, ma'am, I completely understand how you feel. Or you may not understand. I can never understand how you feel. This shouldn't be how it is. We failed to meet your expectation. We failed to meet your expectation. Because here's the deal. If they're unhappy, you failed to meet their expectation, which means either one, you failed to set the expectation, or the customer had an expectation that was too high. But the bottom line is they still have a right to feel that way. And acknowledging how a customer feels, you have every right to feel how you feel, and I'll do my best to rectify it. And I know that I can never make the situation perfect again, but what we can do is work together, because I know that you still want the product, and we still are here to deliver that to you and make sure that you get taken care of.
Yeah, I think the biggest things is, and you just said it, right? But it's empathy, right? I think a big area of opportunity, and I've worked in multiple different companies, right? I think when it comes to addressing a customer situation and fixing them, we lack empathy. Even some of the best salespeople I've seen, they have zero empathy, right? And if you don't make a customer feel understood, and that we know there was a mistake made, right? You will never rectify the problem, and you're going to lose. And they're going to go tell, like, a detractor is going to go tell at least 5 to 10 other people about their crappy experience,
Well,
right?
if you're lucky. A detractor is someone that's going to spread it's horse manure. It's the opposite of what we want when we call word of mouth. However, and this is the other thing with customer service. We're not judged by how things go when they go right. We're judged by how things go when they go wrong. That's the reality of the situation. And you hit it on the head when you talk about empathy. But here's the problem. We say you need to be empathetic. Most people in this world nowadays have no clue how to be empathetic. So you have to teach the skills to your people on how to be empathetic and what language not to use, and to stop taking this shit personally. God, it drives me nuts when I see sales associates and delivery drivers, programmers, real estate agents, you name it, taking it when their customers are mad personally. 99.9% of the time, a consumer is never mad at you. They're mad at the situation. They have a right to be mad at the situation. Give them that knowledge, and then say, you have every right to be upset, because that's not how things should have gone. So let's work on this together, and let's get this taken care of, right? So
that point right there is a phenomenal point, because it happens all the time. People take it, your customer service frontline individuals, whoever it may be, that's on the other end of the phone or on the other end of the counter or wherever it may be, right? You're 100% correct. Like, it's just, it baffles me how they take it so personal. It's like, it's not your fault. They're not mad at you, right? They're mad at the company, what happened, the situation. It's not you. You just happen to be the person they're standing in front of or on the other end of. And you're right. I mean, it comes down to teaching and coaching how it should be done. And that's something that we can obviously do for the people out there that's listening, correct?
we can. I mean, number one, as the simple salesman, this is one of probably the largest clientele that I have right now is actually customer service education, is teaching classes. We have a 3-day class. I kid you not, a 3-day class. We spend 3 days talking about customer service techniques, how to handle customers that are very upset. And we do a lot with this. And I remember back in 1999, I had a job in customer service. It was a phone center. This is like my first job in college. I was on the night crew. Loved this job. I went to work from, I think it was 6 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know why they had a late night call center crew, and it was for garage door installation. It was for, I want to say it was for the version, for like the section of Sears that's gone out of business. But the people that were calling us at that time of the day were people that literally had their garage doors, like they went up, and then like the installation was bad, so the garage door fell and collapsed on their cars. Like these are the people we're dealing with, right? I mean, we're talking irate. And we had some of the happiest customers dealing with us because of how we handled that situation. And that was back when I was 19 years old, and I lasted as a customer service tech, like just as a phone guy, for like 4 days. And then immediately I became that customer service night manager because I was dealing with some of these really nasty people. And it made me grow some really thick skin. But what I realized was when these people called, not a single one was calm on the phone. I mean, these people were yelling and screaming because it was the number they had to call to get a hold of someone. And then once they got a call center and it wasn't the installer, and I'm having to arrange for the installer to come out there and insurance adjusters and go through all that process, I mean, that was insane. But that customer service level of, no, you have every right to be upset. No, this is not going to be a fast fix. This is going to be a process, and I'm sorry that you're having to go through this. I was apologizing to customers that they had to go through something that was unexpected. At no point in time do we admit fault. And this is one of the things we talk about in customer service. There's no reason to admit fault, and that's, so let's talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to customer service. When you have a multi-departmental business where you have marketing and sales and delivery and customer service, there's all these different departments affecting it, and the communication starts to break down. We see this really, really big right now in high-speed internet and cable providers. So like my brother just had a cable provider, and it took him 7 weeks to get someone to run the line from his property line to his house because it wasn't the cable provider doing it. They had a subcontractor that was a general contractor, then subcontracted to someone else. So he could never talk to anyone about the scheduling. It was, I'll send an email. So that lack of communication, if my brother had any other choice in cable provider to provide him a fast enough cable service that was for internet, he would never go back to that person because of a lack of communication. Everyone was respectful, but they always did this. Oh, I understand, sir, but man. And then they would point the finger at another department. But this is not, it's that department. You'll have to talk to that department. Blaming someone else for a failure just infuriates a customer. I don't understand why people do. Well, I know why people do this, but why companies allow this to happen. And I think we should touch on that.
I think
go ahead.
we should touch on it because I can relate too, from one of my previous fields I was in. Right, and it comes down to, we talked about this topic earlier, right? Because it was pointing the finger at, oh, I'm sorry, they made the mistake. You're going to have to call them. Or here's this number. They have to be the ones to fix it. Or I'm sorry, I can't do it. Instead of letting the company empower their managers, right? And that are front-facing to fix it right then and there, instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, they have to fix it because they have a certain this or that or whatever it may be. I played within that racket in that space, right, for like 5 years. So I wholeheartedly understand it, and it just infuriates me. So yeah, we can talk about it.
And this is what's amazing though, is if you take that kind of environment where you're not empowered to make the decision, how about this? I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. I'm really sorry that I want to be able to fix this right now. Because if I could fix this right now, I could probably turn this around and make it a good experience. So I'm sorry that you have to go through the process. So here's what I'm going to have you do. And you set the expectation of what that customer needs to do to get the outcome they're looking for. And then let them know, listen, even though that I'm not involved, you can always feel free to contact me and I'll see what I can do, even though I'm so limited in being able to help. It's about setting that expectation. So let's talk about this for a second. So you see this all the time in subcontracted retail, where a retail provider subcontracts to a delivery or to an installer or to a graphic designer, and that person doesn't come through. So my brother's countertops, my brother did a remodel that was 1 year and 3 months long. It was supposed to be a 3-month long remodel, and they had the designs done in like 3 months. And one of the things they did was they did a copper countertop. And when it came time to install the copper countertop, the guy's like, "Oh, you need us to order that now?" And then he placed the order. And he's like, "Well, the guy that's going to be building this for us is going to take another 4.5 weeks to get it done." Right? That's freaking ridiculous. And then they blamed the person that they were subcontracting with to do it, as opposed to taking ownership of the fact that we could have ordered this, I don't know, 6 months ago, but they didn't want to hold on to it. So they waited till 4 weeks as opposed to knowing the process and taking ownership of it. That's one of those things that just really, really drives me up a wall, is when people blame other people for the failure or the lack of customer service, because the customers don't care. They don't care.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I mean, as a consumer, you don't care the reason as to why. You just want a solution, and you want somebody to understand their frustrations. I mean, that is the biggest thing. As a consumer, what do you want? I mean, me personally, right? I want I want to feel understood, and I just want somebody to help find a solution. I don't want to jump through 6 different phone numbers and loopholes and channels, and 2 of them being automated before I even get to somebody. You know what I mean? And a lot of companies, unfortunately, are going the automation route because of the cost savings. They're
Correct.
automating as much as they can because, when you look at your bottom line, how much money you're saving by automating it. And so, no, don't get me wrong. There's some great
Well,
automation out there,
look
but
at look at retail for a long time, right? What happened is retail as a whole did this, where they have shareholders, right? So if I'm going to make $110 million or $1 billion, and I cut 3% off of my payroll, well, the thing is the stores and the people can function at 3% less, but if you do that enough times, what happens is you're not getting the sales growth anymore. You're getting more profitability because you're pulling that um, that payroll back, so your numbers look good, but in reality you're creating a downward snowball effect of worse and worse and worse. Payroll is never the answer. It's one thing to have a store that doesn't have, or a building or a business or a department that doesn't have the sales volume to support the staff, but if you have a sales volume that you're trying to increase and you're decreasing payroll, unless you increased efficiencies by tenfold or fivefold, or found a way to be more efficient that's actually replicatable across the entire board, that's the only way you can decrease payroll. And we watch companies over and over and over and over and over again decrease payroll, and what ends up happening is their profits look good, and then all of a sudden their business starts to turn down. And to turn that around, you're talking about a business that's growing and then starts having negative customer experiences. And negative customer experiences snowball. It's not like that it's 1 or 2 and they can be overcome. Once you start getting those negative reviews and that negative feedback and people stop coming into your stores, I can tell you the amount of stores that I've gone into, and I don't know if Best Buy has changed this, but lately I've been going into Best Buys for help with all sorts of different stuff, and I have had more salespeople there to help me. I've actually increased my sales. Where I normally shop online, I normally go to Amazon, I normally go to my Southwest Rewards, Rapid Rewards program. I've been shopping in the stores because the people have been giving me added value, and that's really what customer service is. Let's bring this all back and talk about customer service is really 3 things, right? If you have a good culture in your company and you treat your people well, and that culture is of assisting your consumer, because if your consumer is happy, your company's growing, then you'll have good customer service. That's just the nature of the culture of your business. If you don't, and you're trying to look at customer service, you have to look at the process of every single place along the line where your company touches the customer, and you have to analyze all of that. You cannot just focus on one area. A lot of times people focus on, well, we're having issues in our sales department, and seeing that sales department's not following up with our consumers. Okay, why and when? You have to look at the process that's actually affecting that and analyze that process. Fixing customer service isn't always about how your consumers speak. It's what tools they have to actually do their job and what process breakdowns there are. 90% of the time, customer service issues that companies have is that. Now, with all that being said, customer service training can be one of the most impactful to organic growth of your business, because when people talk to your consumer correctly, when you already have a good customer service culture and you train people how to handle customer service, then you start beating the expectation. If you meet your customer's expectation, they won't say anything good about you. They won't say anything bad about you. If you want to organically grow your business, you have to beat by leaps and bounds what that consumer's expectation is. And that's done through exemplary customer service, not just okay customer service. So when you're talking about redoing customer service, you're talking about a culture change, a process analysis, and customer service training. So the bad news is that there's a lot more that goes into customer service than a couple sessions with your customer service department. The good news is you literally can grow your business to 10 to 50% by focusing just on your employees' abilities to take care of your consumers. And I guarantee that. I actually, that's one of the guarantees that I give when people come in. If they utilize the customer service training that we do at the Simple Salesman, you'll get a 10 to 50% lift. The only time consumers and companies don't get that lift is if they don't do it. And that's where people fail, is they go and they try and they learn, and then they just don't make that culture change, or they make all the process changes, but it's still toxic culture. You got to look at how you're treating your people, and it's not always about money. It's about just how they're treated and how they're cared for. And that's an entirely different subject we can go into. But customer service wise, if you want to focus on your customer service and you have a good culture and your people like coming to work and they're willing to give you feedback, focus on your processes and your language and your customer service training. It'll do wonders for your business.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just laid it out right there. And, it's good that we kind of circled all back because we're about to wrap it up for this evening. But, it was, I think, a lot of things that were in here. I think people that are listening, they needed to hear. I'm sure there's lots of it they disagree with. But then, there might be some things that they see that they may need help with, right? And that's what you're here for.
I know people are going to get pissed off when I say, hey, if you have a customer service problem, you have a culture problem. And those people that get angry, you just look in the mirror, my man. Look in the mirror. If you didn't get angry about it and you nod your head yes, then start analyzing your processes and your customer service training. I mean, that's where you're going to notice that.
Yeah, and and as always, if someone on here, if they feel that they need some extra help, Simple Salesman would definitely love to come out. As you were saying, we've got some classes and things like that, and in-house training, all sorts of different options to help your customer service.
Absolutely. So just reach out to us. The thing is we'll always have a conversation first to see if we can help. We only want to work with people that are good fits, but we also want to give as much information to you as you possibly can. So if you do have a question, if we've got time to respond to it and it's something simple, go ahead and send it to us. Shoot us off, because we may turn it into a podcast and then we'll at you and send it to you to make sure that you have access to that. Because if it's something that everyone can use and is not specific to your business, I don't see any reason of coming out and giving you the answer. We'll just go ahead and do another podcast, do another video, do a Monday morning coffee talk with it. We'll make it easily and readily accessible, because the goal is to help your guys' businesses grow and make a difference and an impact. So that's the whole point.
Yeah, I mean, that is 100% agree with you there. The whole point is to make an impact in everybody's business that reaches out, and we've got some great avenues to do so. So if there's anything you want to wrap up with, any last thoughts you want to leave everybody with before we decide?
Last thoughts. Oh, you bet. Here's a last thought for you. So last thought, if you want to grow your business organically, customer service is how you do it. Period. That's the fact. And being nice is part of having good customer service. Being nice to your consumers and being nice to your employees. I know that nice gets, underrated, but guys, if you care about your employees and care about your consumers as much as you care about the bottom dollar, you need to care about them more, because when they're cared about more, then that bottom dollar goes up. If you have trouble balancing that, that's where getting a coach and getting someone that's operation oriented or financially oriented to show you where those lines are drawn and which side of the lines you need to play on, that's how you do it. So, thanks a lot for having me on again. And next week, I'm sure you'll throw another crazy ass topic at me. So
yeah. As always, it'll be the biggest curveball. So once again, guys, thanks for joining us, and we will definitely see you next week. So stay tuned and keep a lookout. As always, have a good one.
All right, take care.